one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. Just gotta mean something to you. They gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2 3. 1 2 3.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado,
Free smoke.
look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much I have you doing what it meant to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo, if they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa Bars forever, like they decided to throw me under Slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop 1,000,000 songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Winning has a price. And leadership has a price.
Nobody can do it by himself.
Yeah.
He embodies that. Just real gritty, like, you know we about to come whoop your ass.
I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
Yo, y'all did not expect that an episode was gonna drop this quick, bro. Yeah, I know y'all was thinking to y'allselves like, yo, my guy Saint done got a little lazy with it. My guy is not grinding anymore. I promise you that's not the case. I promise you that is not the case. But I know y'all like, my guy Saint dropped another vid that quick after he just released. Yes. We back in the lab. Listen to me. When I got the news, and I got the news early, I said, I want to hear what other people got to say about it. Because, you know, I'm now in the I'm now realizing, while I don't really like talking about other people's, like, how do I say it? I don't really enjoy watching some sports shows and stuff like that. So I really don't be caring what they have to say. And some of their opinions is so egregious in my opinion. But, you know, the reality is I still do. Some people got great ideas, great thoughts and opinions on things. There's still great sports analysts out there. So, you know, just when you're in the business of talking about sports, bro, I just think it's best that you understand where other people coming from on a topic too. Just my opinion. But, you know, I used to think differently. So if you think differently, I'm cool with that also. It don't mean you got to take everything they say, you know, and think it's gospel, bro. Because most of these analysts say a lot of goofy shit, as y'all think. If you watch the show, you know how I feel about most of these analysts. But, you know, nonetheless, I wanted to see what other people had to say about it. And I did. Listen. Stefon Diggs has officially been traded from the Buffalo Bills. He is headed to the Houston Texans. And he will now team up with C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, a decent offensive line. A great head coach from what we saw last year, an improving defense. If you watched the show last year, if you didn't watch the show last year, I was very high on the Texans defense going into the year. I thought the year before last, before they got CJ Stroud, the year before they got CJ, Yes, it was a atrocious team, but one of the reasons the Texans was so bad was not the defense. It was that offense. And the reason one of the things I say on the show is when you watch a game, it's a lot of different aspects to this game. It's a lot of different things you got to take into account when you watch a team play. So when you watch the Texans and you say that year before they got CJ, you say, okay, you watch the offense, you watch the defense. When you watch how bad the offense is, see, an offense can be bad and you can still have a god-awful defense. But it's a difference between having a decent to good defense. It might not be world-beating or something special, but it can be a good defense. And even if it is good, it can still be perceived or look bad based off of how bad your offense is. So if you got an offense that's bad, but not like just atrocious where they turning the ball over all the time, they have no offensive scheme, they have no key players, then you can have a good defense that can probably get you some places. Kind of like the Steelers. The Steelers don't have a good offense, but they got a good enough defense, that a great defense at times, that can carry them to 2 wins, and they have a game changer on the defensive side of the ball in TJ Watt, who is clutch as all hell. When you look at the Texans that year before they got CJ, the offense turned the ball over. They put the defense in compromising positions. They had not only did they turn the ball over, they really didn't have talent on the offensive side of the ball at all. They didn't have an offensive concept or game plan to rely on a week-to-week basis. They didn't have game changers on the offensive side of the ball. So because the offense was worse than bad, it was just as bad as it can get. It put the defense in so many compromising positions that it made it seem like the defense was also atrocious. But if you just look, now this is where you can go to like deep numbers and things like that, I guess. I don't really care for stats and whatnot in certain instances. But I guess this is one of them things where the real analytical people can go and look at the real deep dive into the numbers on the Texans defense. The secondary was not as bad as people thought it was or made it out to be. Did they have great linebacking play? No. That was a weak part of the defense. Did they have great pass rushers? No. As far as the defensive line, that was another part of the defense. But it wasn't as bad as, say, the Eagles linebacking play last year where they just weren't tackling. So as bad as the Texans were, it was mainly the offensive side of the ball that made them look worse than they actually were. So I was never really low on the Texans defense. I've always thought for the last couple years the Texans had an improving defense, or a defense that was better than what people made them out to be. And I thought their secondary was better last year and the year before that than a lot of teams that was actually good teams with people with secondaries people thought were great. But nonetheless, I like the move for the Texans. I'm going to get into the Texans in a minute. But first, I want to start off with the Buffalo Bills, because this is a very interesting trade. And I thought that Stefon Diggs would be traded. I think I said that I thought he was going to be traded in this offseason earlier in the show. But so I'm not really shocked when it happened. But okay, so I'm not shocked that it happened, but I'm kind of shocked that it happened. I'm not shocked that it happened because I understand how these things work. When Stefon Diggs is labeled a distraction and they feel as though his production is no longer worth the distraction, they get rid of you. So in that sense, it don't shock me. In the sense of who does Buffalo have behind Stefon Diggs, that's where it's shocking, because you don't think you're going to trade away a receiver who bring that type of production, regardless of what the media try to make it seem. Stefon Diggs is still one of the top receivers in this game. So you don't think that the Buffalo Bills will get rid of him. So that's where the shock part come in, because you don't really have anybody to replace him unless they planning on trying to trade for T. Higgins. But I do not see that happening. So that was very interesting to me. Not to mention, you would have thought if they were going to trade Stefon Diggs, they would have made a move to try to trade for a different receiver out there before. Maybe they still looking for a receiver to trade. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins is a target. I don't know, but that is a very interesting is a very interesting move. So, anyways, breaking it down on the Buffalo end, I don't really like the move, to be completely honest with you, but I like the move. So, once again, you got one of those, what the hell is we doing right here? As I say all the time, bro, once somebody want out, and Stefon Diggs, I'm pretty much been making it seem as though he wanted out of Buffalo for the last couple years. Once a dude tell me that he want out, I'm trading him. Like, because at the end of the day, if you got a team and you got people on, the only way a team can be successful is if everybody buys into the same goal. Like, everybody have to be working as one. That's what a team is. A team is a collection of guys or girls working towards one goal, or a mixture of both, working towards one goal. Your goal for the team to become the best is to make that one team a unit. You cannot do that when multiple parts of the machine don't want to be there or are not operating at optimal peak. So if you have a player, and especially when it's a key part to the machine. So when you look at the Buffalo Bills as a machine, and you look at, you say, the key parts to the Buffalo Bills, right? They done lost some key parts over the last couple of years on the defensive side of the ball, maybe due to injury, free agency, and whatnot. Leslie Frazier, you could consider a key piece. But now you look at the biggest key, and maybe sometimes you say to yourself, well, as big as those pieces are, the big pieces to the machine can still get us to where we need to go. Okay, so you lose this on the card, this on the card, this on the card. You say, okay, yeah, but we still good. Well, now you lose Stefon Diggs. And you say, well, that's a big fucking piece. Like that. Like, now this car might not keep running the way it's supposed to run. You know? Now, maybe they find a way to replace it. Maybe they don't. But in this very moment, that's a key piece. So that's why I say I like it and I don't like it. Because with my motto as the machine can't be the way it need to be if everybody don't want to be there. So if a guy tell me he don't want to be there, I got to get rid of him, regardless of how my machine is now after that. But knowing that, afterwards, I know this machine ain't going to run the same way without a Stefon Diggs. So that's why that's why I feel the way I feel about it. But I do understand if the Bills felt like we done got to the end of our road with Stefon, Josh Allen, that duo. Now, the interesting thing about Buffalo is they did not bring back Gabe Davis, which I don't blame them. I don't think he was a good enough receiver. But then you trade away Stefon Diggs. You don't have an immediate receiver, as it don't seem as though you have a receiver to replace Stefon Diggs. And it's not like another receiver played a huge role in Buffalo while Stefon was there. It was really the Stefon, Josh Allen tight end show. Also, what does this do for Josh? Now, I saw somebody say today, obviously Josh Allen signed off on this. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe Josh Allen got that type of power in Buffalo to where they'll go up to him and say, do you want to, can we trade Stefon Diggs? I don't know. I mean, I do understand why people would think Josh Allen would have that type of power, but I just don't feel like he got that type of power. I'm going to keep it a beam with you, because if he had that type of power, why do they not have more offensive talent on the offensive side of the ball since his tenure in Buffalo? It's not like they done went out and got drafted big time offensive pieces, signed big time offensive pieces in the offseason. They haven't done that. If Josh Allen really had say, you telling me he not telling them go get DeAndre Hopkins last offseason? He not talking about multiple pieces in the draft or free agency that's done been there when he done been a free agent, that he like, yo, go sign them and we could get me, that person, and Diggs could go to a suit. You don't think he done brought that up? So to me, it don't really seem like Josh Allen got that. I mean, I'm not telling you that he don't have power, because clearly he a franchise quarterback and he is everything to Buffalo, but I don't know if he got the type of power where he could be like, yo, don't trade Diggs. And it just don't feel like, not to mention, I don't really think no quarterback got that type of power. Because once a team feel like they need to trade a receiver or a piece to get cheap or save money on a cap or this or that, they're going to do it. They don't care what their quarterbacks say. And not only that, in their mind, if they got a quarterback locked up for the long term, and because that's usually when the receiver get traded or they get rid of them or let them walk. bro, what are they're thinking to themselves, what is the quarterback going to do? Not show up for the rest of this contract? Like, it's not going to happen. They know a quarterback not going to compromise their money or their position or really the fan base cheering for him. For a receiver, it's not going to happen. So Josh Allen going to say a bunch of great things about Stefon Diggs, and I'm almost certain he mean them. But it was nothing Josh Allen was going to be able to do to stop Stefon Diggs from being traded. Not to mention, I doubt Josh Allen thought it was anything he could do aside from win a Super Bowl. And even if they won a Super Bowl, that probably would have been more confirmation for Stefon Diggs. Like, yes, we won a Super Bowl. Now I'm ready to get on up out of here. Like, Stefon Diggs, if his mind was set to leaving Buffalo, bro, it was nothing Josh Allen could do, because clearly in Stefon Diggs' mind, his time in Buffalo had been maxed out. And it don't have to have nothing to do with Josh Allen, bro. It can have a lot of different, like, I don't like the people trying to create this into a Josh Allen v. Stefon Diggs type of thing. It don't have to have nothing to do with that, yo. What Josh Allen saw and what Stefon Diggs saw can be not the same thing, and they can still be cool. Like, the vision that Stefon Diggs had with Buffalo had expired clearly, or it wasn't the same. For Josh Allen, it was something different. It's cool. To me, I think the reason that Buffalo got to this point is, or I think the reason in the last couple of years it haven't looked, because you could really make an argument that at its peak it was with Daboll, and ever since then it's been a decline or just not the same. And I really think that got to do with just, and I'm gonna be really honest, I'm not advocating for coaches to be fired or nothing like that. But Sean McDermott is a defensive-minded head coach, not an offensive one. So he don't bring nothing to the offensive side of the ball. He hired the offensive guys to run the show for him, to call the plays and all that. Okay, you made a good hire in Brian Daboll. Obviously, you lose him because that's just the nature of the beast. And every offensive coordinator since has been nowhere near as good as Daboll. But it's not even that they haven't been as good as Daboll. They really haven't brought in a system or anything they haven't done anything to make other players better. That's not named Stefon Diggs, Josh Allen. They haven't put Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs in easier positions to be successful. So when you look at all the different things that you would want your head coach to be responsible for, when regarding your quarterback, as far as Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen and the offense getting better and other players on the offense improving throughout the system, because you just haven't seen it from the coordinator or head coach position, because they play a role, in my opinion. And so I don't really know at this point I understand being a good head coach that don't necessarily, I'm not saying you have to be an offensive minded head coach to be a good to be a good head coach. But man, if Buffalo had an offensive guru, or whatever you want to call it, they would be such a better team over the last 2 years. I think one of Buffalo's biggest problems is that they don't have a great offensive coordinator. They don't have an offensive-minded head coach. And that has affected their game plan for the last couple years. And because they don't have that, I don't think Buffalo done enough for Josh Allen. The same way I don't think the Baltimore Ravens have done enough for Lamar Jackson, I don't think that the Buffalo Bills have done enough for Josh Allen. Josh Allen has already proven he is a great quarterback. He done that multiple times over. So why do I have to do that every single year of my career? Why can't you just go out and get talent to help me now get over the hump? This notion that a great quarterback don't need much help to win is ridiculous to me. Yes, it's certain you can have instances in NFL history where Pat Mahomes did, but bro, we talking about the 1%ers at a certain point, bro. Pat Mahomes is the GOAT of his era right now. So you can't keep trying to compare Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and all these other dudes to Pat Mahomes. I understand comparisons in certain areas, but when it comes to the ultimate success that one has had, clearly they are not on the same level as Pat Mahomes. So you can't keep trying to use Pat Mahomes as the benchmark. Just like I hated it when people use Tom Brady as the benchmark for every other quarterback. That's ridiculous. Josh Allen could you imagine if they went out and got DeAndre Hopkins last year? And then you got D-Hop, Stefon Diggs, a decent running game, and Josh Allen. Could you imagine if they had an offensive coordinator that actually drew up great plays and didn't force Josh Allen to play the way he have to play on most games? Because most of the time, it's not really an offensive scheme. It's Josh Allen making shit shake. Like, to me, people always compare Big Ben to Josh Allen. I don't really think that's the comparison. I think Josh Allen and Cam Newton is closer to the same player than Josh Allen and Big Ben, because when you looked at Carolina got by on talent, bro. They didn't really run a great offensive system. You had Cam Newton, you had Greg Olsen, and a couple other guys that was talented that Cam Newton helped raise their level of play. I think that's what you got in Buffalo. I don't think you really have a great offensive system. Maybe Carolina had a year where they had a great offensive play caller, but that was few far and in between. I think the same thing for Buffalo. And for some reason, the front office, they don't see this the way, and I really don't understand how they don't see this, because think about how good Buffalo's defense done been since Josh Allen done been in Buffalo. It's done been damn good. Now you done lost so many pieces on what was once one of the better defenses in the NFL, one of the best defenses in the NFL. And if you saw, when you look at some of Josh Allen's performances in the playoffs, and you continue to say, like, why haven't we got over that hump? What the fuck? Excuse me. I got something had got caught in my, so I need to shave, basically. That's what just happened. Anyways, when you look at some of the ways Josh Allen done lost in the playoffs, you look at how the defense done given up, like, plays and whatnot like that in that Pat Mahomes games. Bro, what the fuck has it done you consistently using that Pat Mahomes game as the barometer? Because that's clearly what you done use. Because you saying to yourself, well, they played that great in that game. The only reason we lost was because of the defense. Bro, look at how they done lost every year since in the playoffs. It's the fucking offense. They need more, bro. I don't understand how they don't look at this team and say we done maxed out offensively. I said almost 2 years ago that I thought Buffalo was getting close to maxing out with this offense, because it don't seem like they want to improve it in no areas that could significantly help it. They was cool with marching Gabe Davis out there and hoping he gave you one good playoff game every year. And I thought that was insane. To have a guy be basically non-existent throughout most of the regular season every year, which is what Gabe Davis was for Buffalo, and to never go and get nobody else was crazy. Like, you essentially said you cool with every year in the playoffs, eventually a team found a way to shut down Stefon Diggs. And it made it a tough game for Josh Allen, because he already wasn't relying on a great offensive system. He was relying on playing him and Stefon Diggs and his talent and him just being great at being a quarterback. He wasn't relying on a system to make the game easier for him. Well, now I don't have a system to make the game easier. I don't have Stefon Diggs. I don't have a running game. I don't have a great offensive coordinator or head coach. So I got to make shit shake. And that's when turnovers happen, like fumbles, bad interceptions. And that's why Josh Allen's career, in my opinion, done look the way it's looked. And he done bailed a lot of motherfuckers out in Buffalo. But now, getting rid of Stefon, this is why I say I don't think Josh Allen got as much power as people think he got. Because Josh Allen done been done dirty, in my opinion, in Buffalo. People want to keep talking about, well, they went and got him Stefon Diggs. They did. We're going to keep congratulating them for something they did years ago. But if they done for him on the offensive side of the ball. See, this is what motherfuckers like to do when I talk about Lamar Jackson. They like to bring up, well, they did this on defense. They did that on defense. Bro, whoop-de-fucking-do. How does that directly help your quarterback at this very moment? Josh Allen has never had a reliable run game on a year-to-year basis. He is the run game. Lamar Jackson, outside of his year he had with Ingram, he has not had a reliable runner except for him. Pat Mahomes, until he got Isaiah Pacheco, did not have a reliable runner. So this notion that the Bills have done everything possible to help Josh Allen is just not true. And now, like I said, you get rid of Stefon Diggs. And so, to me, what it's telling me is that the Bills say Josh Allen is good enough where he can elevate the talent of lesser than guys, or they saying to themselves, we think players is better than they are. And excuse me for not caring when GMs and owners and whatnot think that, because Arthur Blank said they thought Desmond Ridder was better than Lamar Jackson. So when you got owners, GMs saying goofy shit like that, excuse me for feeling a certain type of way when I hear anything phrased in that type of way. But if that's their thought process when it comes to the talent that they have there without Stefon Diggs, I just hate when that decision can be made by a GM, because you're not the one out there playing quarterback, bro. You don't take the criticism. I do. I had Josh Allen, the one who got to go out there and play, not the GM, not the owner. You did not immediately replace the guy that you just traded. Now, maybe they're going to replace him in the draft. Maybe that's the plan, is to replace him in the draft. However, I still don't believe you play the role that you think you play. Obviously, Howie Roseman has been unbelievable. The talent on the field still got to get it done at the end of the day. They still going to get the most credit because they the ones who go out there and actually got to do it. You get the rightful credit you get when you put this talent together and you find pieces and whatnot. But the guys who actually got to go out there and do it still ultimately get the most credit because they the motherfuckers out there playing. Josh Allen is the one who is out there playing. It's just so hard for me to believe, because I keep going back to the tweet where it was like Josh Allen had to sign off on this, or where somebody, I think it was on a show, and it's just hard for me to believe that Josh Allen signed off on this. This feel like a Josh, we making this move. We know it might upset you in the moment, but it is what it is. We have a plan. That's feel like a Josh Allen having to just accept something that was out of his control. Like, I know y'all like to believe that just because these players make millions of dollars and they the franchise quarterback, they can make all the moves. Bro, at the end of the day, these GMs and whatnot answer to the billionaires, not to the quarterback. It just is what it is. So, and this ain't the NBA, bro. So, quarterbacks ain't, there is instances where, you get a collection of talent and whatnot, but most of the time you're not handpicking your talent in the NFL like if you're a player like we think they do in the NBA at times. It's not happening. So I just feel like the Bills have once again put Josh Allen in a compromising position, because now Josh Allen going out there yet again. It was already tough because we didn't have a great offensive scheme. It was already tough because we didn't have a great running back or a great run system or a great run production on a week-to-week basis with the running backs. It was already tough because I have to do too much too often if I'm Josh Allen. It was already tough because teams, great defenses, they figure out ways to take Stefon Diggs out of the game. And even still, Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs still found ways to be ultra productive. And now it gets even harder. Because with all that, you didn't bring in no other talent to get better under Stefon Diggs that could match his level of talent. You didn't go out and sign any free agents that could help us on offense. You didn't do none of that. And now we lose our most productive offensive weapon by a landslide. And we expected to compete in the AFC against the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bengals. Some people would say the Chargers now. The Texans, the Colts possibly. Like, the Bills. Now, listen. The Bills to me are still pretty much a playoff team. I don't know if they win that I don't know if the Bills win that division this year. Because the Dolphins, to me, if healthy, are the best team in that division now. The Bills should still finish in second because they are better than the Patriots. They are better than the Jets. Oh, wait a minute. Aaron Rodgers played for the Jets. I completely forgot about that. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, Buffalo just put themselves in a very compromising position if Josh Allen can't. And I don't expect Josh Allen to be bad, but Josh Allen is about to have to rely on dudes he never had to rely on before. I understand he got a good tight end, but his tight end ain't Travis Kelce in his prime. He ain't Mark Andrews. He ain't now maybe that Dalton Kincaid end up turning into something like that, but as of this moment, what you are about to ask Josh Allen to go out there and play with, unless you got a move up your sleeve, to me, it's very hard. I don't know if Josh Allen and the Bills make the playoffs next year. And it's not because I don't think Josh Allen is great, but Josh Allen already, when he have to do too much, turn the ball over a lot. Last year was a tough year for Buffalo, being in compromising positions throughout the whole year and having to play the way they played at the end of the year to make the playoffs. Well, now this year, if the Aaron Rodgers stay healthy, you got the Jets in that division. And that's a good Jets team that made a lot of good improvements in the offseason. You got Miami coming back healthy next year. I just think that is a tough division now, with those two teams being healthy next year. And you losing, that's how significant a loss to me, Stefon Diggs, is for the Buffalo Bills. Now, it does, see, what you're really relying on if you're a Bills fan is that it's Josh Allen is like Peyton Manning, where before he got to Buffalo, nobody knew Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas. After he got to Denver, I think I said before he got to Buffalo, before Peyton Manning got to the Denver Broncos, nobody was talking about Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, and the tight end. I can't remember the tight end's name, but the big tight end they had. Nobody was talking about him. Peyton Manning got to Denver. All of those dudes become household names. That's basically what you praying Josh Allen can do. The problem is, I don't think Josh Allen had ever been that quarterback where it's not necessarily that he don't make players around him better, but he never was turning receivers. He didn't turn average receivers into Pro Bowl lookalikes. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't out there. He wasn't the machine that was creating replica Pro Bowl level looking players. Like, you give him great talent around him, like a Stefon Diggs, he can get more out of him and out of Steph. He can raise his and Stefon's level of play. And in the process, he make a lot of big plays and can carry other people to. And the tight ends done been decent or have been good for Buffalo. But when you look at what Peyton was doing, we thought, and I understand he had Marvin, and I understand he had Reggie. Bro, that run in Denver solidified it for me. I'm not taking Eric Decker, Demaryius Thomas, RIP to Demaryius. I'm not taking neither one of them receivers over a lot of different receivers. I never thought Demaryius or Eric Decker were number one receivers. Excuse me. The greatness of Peyton Manning had motherfuckers walking around thinking that both of them dudes was number ones. And that was crazy. But Josh Allen not being that type of quarterback, he more so rely on his athleticism and the physical part of the game more so than the mental part of the game, and what Peyton Manning was relying on, really. So that's what you really hoping for if you Buffalo, or are you hoping that they have a big move up their sleeve, like possibly trading for T. Higgins? Because I don't know what other receiver is out there that could be traded for right now. Like, I don't imagine Amari Cooper is about to be traded from the Browns, even though the Browns went out and traded for another receiver and Jerry Jeudy and re-signed him. I don't imagine. I mean, I could see DeAndre Hopkins being traded after the Titans signed Calvin Ridley. But other than a couple moves, I don't see too many big moves out there to be made at the receiving position for Buffalo. So Really, I think you hoping that Buffalo strike gold in the draft with a receiver and that Josh Allen can make that receiver instantly better. Because I've been seeing that the last couple of days too, where people say, you know, receivers have been instantly better when they come into the league nowadays. No, the great ones have been great off the rip. Not all receivers coming to the NFL and is great, bro. That's just not the case. So it's gonna be interesting for Buffalo because you lost Jordan Poyer. Micah Hyde took a step back last year. You lost key pieces to that defense in the offseason last year. Now you got to see how all-pro Matt Milano come back off of his injury last year. You lose Tre'Davious White to the Rams in the offseason, and you felt like that wasn't really as big as a loss as possibly it should have been because he had been hurt the last couple years for you anyway, so you didn't have him on the field. But that's what people talk about when they talk about that window, bro. That window when you have a whole bunch of talent on your team, where all the talent is cheap. And we finding out that all these dudes might actually be big time players. You gotta win when the iron is hot, bro. And that's the Pat Mahomes effect, bro. That's the Pat Mahomes effect. Because if Pat Mahomes wasn't in this division or wasn't in the AFC, Josh Allen and the Bills probably would have been to a Super Bowl by now. But because Pat Mahomes exists, those Buffalo teams could not see the success that they probably thought they should have saw. And that's tough. Going to the Texans side of things, though. This is big for the Texans. I know some people going to say, Stefon Diggs is washed. I don't think Stefon Diggs is washed, bro. I think that's an insane thing to say. Did he have the year that he had previously been having? No. But that's such is life when you no longer want to be in a place. Stefon Diggs, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, CJ Stroud is about to, what they say on Twitter, feed families. Bro, that is an insane collection of talent right there. And it all works together because of how great of a player we think CJ Stroud is off of the season he had last year. Like, I think this, and I done seen people talk negatively about this already. Like, oh, he gonna demand the ball. What CJ Stroud gonna do when he in the huddle crying about touches and yada yada yada, bro? How is it? Yeah, I don't understand. It's like if they weren't getting him the ball, you'd be like, we need to get him the ball. The only reason you would not care about getting him the ball is if you was winning without him. But if you were losing and he wasn't getting it, you say they need to feed him the ball. I don't understand this. Not to mention the way people love Stefon Diggs when he was great in Buffalo and the switch that people made up on him when he just got irritated with losing the big game is crazy. What competitive athlete, what competitive person enjoys losing the biggest game of their season every year? That's what I'm saying, bro. Y'all be addicted to losing. That y'all root for the underdogs that's always losing usually. The underdog usually is not as big a winner as the champion or as the favorite. That's usually why losers go for the underdog most of the time. It's very rare situations where the underdog is actually the better of the two. And so this loser mentality, bro, where y'all just hate people when they winning and y'all love people when they losing. It's a crazy thing, bro. It's a real crazy thing. But nonetheless, when Stefon Diggs was in Buffalo, you can say whatever you want to about him. But he made Josh Allen a better player. It is what it is, yo. That's not debatable. Josh Allen wasn't the player he became until he got Stefon Diggs. Now, I'm not telling you that Josh Allen cannot remain. Now, one thing I don't like is I saw somebody say, well, Pat Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill. So now it's time for Josh Allen to do what Pat Mahomes did. Not exactly, bro, because Josh Allen is not Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes does not just rely on his athleticism and just his raw talent. We done seen him evolve past that level of play. Josh Allen, a lot of his game is still predicated on him running dudes over, just being his arm talent. Like, as much as I like Josh Allen, it's not too many games where he beating you with the mental aspect of the game and whatnot. But to me, that's not really on him a lot of times because, like I said, you need a great offensive coordinator. Or, like, look at the offensive minds Pat Mahomes play with. He had Andy Reid. Well, he has Andy Reid. He had Eric Bieniemy. You playing with those level of offensive minds, bro, that eventually they're going to teach you and get you to a point where you don't got to win this game off of your physical traits all the time. You can beat people with the other part of the game, the mental aspect of the game, like Peyton Manning did. You can be a thinker and beat people. Andrew Luck couldn't get to that because he didn't have an offensive line. They just wouldn't protect him. Josh Allen can't get to that right now because of the way they play in Buffalo and the way they done deemed it okay for him to play in Buffalo. You can really make an argument that Josh Allen really haven't had to get better in the sense of his game done remained the same the last couple of years. He just stockpile a bunch of numbers and whatnot and play basically the same with the same outcome every year because this offense hasn't evolved past what it's been when it's been rolling the last couple of years. And I think that's the thing. They have refused to make even the littlest evolutions in the offense. And that's why I was always complaining about the Ravens because, this lack of that's the thing about the Chiefs. The Chiefs might have lost talent, but look at how the offense done evolve every year to do what they need to do to win a Super Bowl. It's not an offense that still went out there and tried to play the same way they played with Tyreek Hill and said, even though we ain't got Tyreek, we still going to be chucking it down. That's not. They adjusted with the talent that they had. Now, granted, it's easy to do that when you got Pat Mahomes because Pat Mahomes is a different level of player. He is him. So I'm not comparing it in that aspect. I'm just saying, look at the different things that the offensive minds had to do to give an advantage to the offense in some type of way. The Ravens and the Bills just go out there and rely on their quarterbacks every year. And I understand that's what most teams do, but the difference is the Chiefs don't just rely on Pat Mahomes to be great. They also rely on Andy Reid and whoever the other offensive mind is to do their job and be great and make the game easier for Pat Mahomes and the other players. I said it before when I talk about Lamar Jackson. When you look at Buffalo, what has Sean McDermott or the offensive coordinator since Daboll done to put players or Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs in position to make the game easier for them? And what has Josh Allen done to make the game easier for the coaches? And when you add it up, it's not even close. It's incredibly lopsided. Josh Allen done made the game far more easier for the coaches than they have made it for him. When you look at the Texans, it's not just Josh Allen made it easier for the coaches. It was Stefon Diggs too. And so if I'm a Texan fan, I'm getting a guy, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm about to get a guy who just helped one of the better quarterbacks or the best quarterbacks in the NFL be great. What can he do for CJ Stroud? To me, you already have a good defense and an improving defense that made great additions in the offseason. You're probably going to make more good moves in the draft. I expect CJ Stroud to be a top 5 quarterback next year. I expect CJ Stroud to compete for MVP. With the talent that they have. And I saw a moron on the show today say, we take for granted the fact that, it was Nico Collins and CJ Stroud and the young guys over there that we didn't know growing together. And he kept bringing up all these other teams that had young guys. So he was trying to say how Stefon Diggs can interrupt this. And one of the teams he used was the Warriors. And I find it very convenient, once again, how I always say, Acho like to cherry pick conversations and leave important details out. Because a very key important detail for the Warriors is, even with Steph, Dre, and Clay being young, growing together, they added fucking Kevin Durant, who had not won at that time. upon coming to Golden State. Stefon Diggs is a hell of a piece. He ain't one. So I find it funny that a lot of people would rather take the side of, instead of Stefon Diggs coming in hungry, ready to prove himself again, as athletes have to do on a year-to-year basis, reprove themselves, and seeing a hungry dude ready to compete for a Super Bowl, people rather say, oh, he could be a diva. Look at what he did to get out of Buffalo. Look what he did to get out of Minnesota. Like, bro, maybe those situations had deteriorated or run their course, bro. Y'all expect people to get so comfortable with losing because y'all got comfortable with losing. Y'all got comfortable with coming in second place. Y'all got comfortable with with doing just good enough. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got enough Spirit Awards and participation trophies that you had a collection of them and thought to yourself, what a trophy case. And y'all expect everybody else to be the same. It's ridiculous. Now, for certain quarterbacks, all y'all would have said was Stefon Diggs, I don't want to play with them because they can't throw, but that's a conversation for a whole nother day. I expect the Texans to win that division next year. I think CJ Stroud is the best quarterback in that division. I think they got the best collection of talent as a team in that division. And I really think Stefon Diggs just takes the Texans to a whole nother level, that offense to a whole nother level. Like, now you have a legitimate number one receiver. Because I thought, as great as Nico and those dudes were, I still thought that the best receiver on the team, I mean, I don't think none of the receivers on the team were legit number one receivers. Stefon Diggs is a number one receiver. Not to mention, Stefon Diggs, this is the best collection of talent he's going to have played with since he was in Minnesota. Like, people like to act like Stefon Diggs, just because he played with Josh Allen, they played with a whole bunch of talent in Buffalo. Like I continue to say, if you think that offense in Buffalo was littered with talent, God bless you. The talent that he about to play with in the talent he played with in Minnesota and the talent he about to play with in Houston is far better than the talent he about to play with that he played with in Buffalo. The only difference is the best quarterback he played with is Josh Allen in Buffalo. We think at the moment, because who knows what CJ Stroud about to do. And this brings me to another conversation that I was just talking about, but it just made me think about the Ravens and how they refuse to go out and bring in number one type talent help for their quarterback. They went out and signed Odell Beckham off of 2 ACLs or Achilles and gave him $15 million. And I made multiple shows in the offseason talking about why they should have went after DeAndre Hopkins, how it didn't make sense that they went after DeAndre Hopkins. How do you go bring in, when you know DeAndre Hopkins is available, and he done been the far more productive player over the last, 4 or 5 years, but you still go out and get Odell rather than going and making a play for DeAndre Hopkins? How does that make any type of business sense, logical sense, football sense? Like, Madden trade mode sense. Like, how does that make sense? And you look at the Texans, who, instead of wasting money on, well, this player used to be good, they done been coming off of a couple down years, maybe we could take a chance on. No, they go out and bring in Stefon Diggs, who you may say coming off of his worst year in Buffalo, but when you put together his last 3 years in Buffalo, or his last just 3 to 4 years period, well, that's a damn good receiver. So that's the type of receiver that you decide to take a chance on. Not the dudes that the Baltimore Ravens keep signing. So y'all keep telling me how great of an organization, how great Eric DeCosta is. And I keep seeing GMs who people don't think are great make better moves than Eric DeCosta. Eric DeCosta decided to go bring in Odell. The Eagles GM said, I'm going to invest in a receiver. F it. I'll go get A.J. Brown. Like, listen, man. If you don't think that the race for second place for the opportunity to have to possibly beat Pat Mahomes isn't real, you're crazy. And the Ravens seem to only think, well, we got Lamar Jackson, so we'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. Because they ain't the ones who got to go out there and actually play. And I see so many shows constantly praising them, praising the Ravens for, basically everything Lamar Jackson undone. That's the thing that's funny to me. Lamar Jackson is the reason the Ravens are as successful as they are, but for some reason everybody else on the Ravens get all the credit. The defense, the coordinators, the coaches, the owners, the GMs. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And for Lamar Jackson, it's always a but, a if. He ain't that good. He can't do this. He can't do that. It's real crazy, bro. He dead ass is feeding generations of families, bro, with his talent. But he always the one who got to take the shit the most in Baltimore. And it's crazy to me because could you imagine if he done had the level? I mean, look at how many quarterbacks done can legit say, I done got a number one receiver before Lamar Jackson. Trevor Lawrence, Will Levis, CJ Stroud, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams when he get drafted into the league, Justin Fields last year, and hell, Justin Fields if he play this year, Russell Wilson. These is all players that have bona fide number one receivers, all quarterbacks. Some of them done been in the league longer than Lamar. Some haven't been in the league longer than Lamar. All of them that can say they done had number one receivers. Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, like Justin Herbert. I can legit keep going. It's crazy. Tua Tagovailoa, Brock Purdy. But the Ravens did want to pay him what he was asking for. You see my frustration with that? But to close the show real quick, I want to touch back up on something that I talked about yesterday or on my show that I did for the Elite Eight. That wasn't yesterday. That was the day before yesterday. Because Twitter was talking about the Emmanuel Acho Shady McCoy thing clip where they were talking about Angel Reese can't be the villain and then cry and do what she did after the thing. And I had already spoken on it, but I want to touch on that again, bro, because it's just every time I see the clip, bro, I just get so irritated because I cannot imagine a human being with a child would say that about if their daughter was put in that same compromising position. Because Angel Reese did not choose to play the villain. That was a role given to her by people who was upset at how she responded to Caitlin Clark. And like I said many times, as much as I fuck with Caitlin Clark, nobody had a problem with Caitlin Clark pulling them antics. Nobody. True hoopers don't have a problem with none of this. But the people, this is why I don't like it when people who say they like sports really don't like sports. They like drama, so they watch anything that can have some type of drama. And that's what they pick apart is the drama elements. And then this new school fans is just a bunch of bitches, to be completely honest with you, because they bitch and complain about it. They the ones who post stuff on Twitter and be like, this is so cringe, oh my god. They the ones writing think pieces about Draymond Green every goddamn other day of the week. But to say that Angel Reese embraced the villain role, bro, what the fuck else she was supposed to? I mean, she didn't. I never saw Angel Reese come out and say she liked being the villain. I love. Now, maybe she did come out and say that, but you need to remember something. This was a 20, 21, 19-year-old teenager, child, whatever you want to label it, who's still developing as a human being and as an adult. Being labeled and having stories and narratives put on her by adults who are far older than her, done been in this game for far longer than her, done known how to manipulate players and people for far longer than she been alive. And somehow, and this is why I felt for Angel Reese when I saw the thing, because I knew exactly what she was doing. I knew exactly what she was feeling that moment. She said, I had to play this. What she was basically proving to me was she had to play a certain type of role. She felt like she had to play a certain type of role that she had been labeled, like Dylan Brooks had said, like Draymond Green done alluded to. She felt like the world had put a certain label on her because of what she did in response to Caitlin Clark. because she won and people didn't want her to win. They wanted Caitlin Clark to win. I mean, the articles and whatnot had already done proven how people felt about her and her squad. So she had to play a role that she never wanted to play, but she had no choice but to play it. And when she probably had people she talked to about it, but she couldn't publicly say it because her supporters supported her and she didn't want to look weak and whatnot, like most human beings. But then what she was relying on to keep her mask up was winning. Like most athletes, winning is the only thing that can keep them from breaking down. That's the greatest makeup. Winning mask is all. Somebody can be going through the worst of the worst and you'll never know it if they winning because the whole world behind them, all the fans behind them, the TV shows and whatnot talk good about them. The team feeling good, the coach feeling, you know what I'm saying? Winning mask is a lot. But when you finally lose and all of it come down and you can't hide behind winning no more and shit get real, that's a young woman who is still trying to maneuver that. And people talking about oh, you can't do that after being, bro, what kind of, first off, how do you look at a child and think that's the first, how is that your first response when you, because I'm thinking to myself, bro, like I'm not old enough to be Angel Reese's father, bro. I'm old enough to be Angel Reese's brother. But I'm thinking to myself, if that's my child or my sister, bro, how is that my first response? And maybe that's my fault, bro. Maybe I'm thinking about shit in too humanly of a way most times. And maybe that's where I start fucking up, bro. Because I think about shit in the human aspect all the time. And so that's on me. But every time I look at that thing, I'm thinking to myself, damn, bro, I wish I could just hug her because I know how she feeling in a sense that I know she did not want to be labeled what she was labeled. I know she didn't. You don't think Angel Reese would have loved to be considered the good guy throughout all of this? And it's so crazy to me how the black athlete is always the bad guy in this. And the white athlete is the sympathetic one who is labeled as the hero. You don't think that the black girl went through things too? You don't think that she had to struggle to get to where she was at? And when she won, that meant as much to her as it would have meant to Caitlin Clark? You don't think if Caitlin Clark win this year, she gonna feel the same things Angel Reese felt? Like, to me, it's crazy. It's crazy. The things that Acho and them said about her, bruh. That was the way they looked at this. And the fact that fans, I don't expect much from fans. Fans are a bunch of fucking doofuses. Hurt people that just like hurt people, like to hurt other people, bruh. It's a problem at this point. I expect nothing less from moronic ass fans. But for grown ass men on TV to look at Angel Reese and that be your problem with her, bruh, and try to hide it and try to mask it by saying she's done great for LSU, she's been great for the community. So she can't give you insight. Mind you, she was asked the question and she was just giving insight as to what she been dealing with the last couple. And it's real funny to me that you don't care what an athlete going through when they losing. You only care. They can only be sad when they winning. They can't be sad when they losing, because if they sad when they losing, it's an excuse. Angel Reese didn't make an excuse about how the game went. Angel Reese did not say we lost because of what I've been going through. Angel Reese did not say Caitlin Clark had a good game because of the things that I've went through. And it's very funny to me that people who could never go through what Angel Reese, you'll never be in a position to go through and deal with the shit that Angel Reese had to deal with, but you can feel the way you feel about it. That's the thing that's so interesting to me, bro. As human beings, we get to feel what we feel about people's situations. And I understand it when it's not a serious situation, but in a serious situation like this, to still play this role as of, you've never been in this situation, but you can choose to feel and speak on this however you feel to speak on it, is crazy to me, bro. Like you know how they be like, it's a time and a place for everything? To me, that's what should be used in instances like this, bro. You don't get to, like, if somebody lose a family member to a murder, bro, you don't get to say, you know, I feel with that person. This is not one of them situations, bro. You can't feel like you hope to never be put in a position that person was put in. You can never, imagine the position that Angel Reese is in. Carrying LSU, being the face of that team and school, really, because you don't know nobody on the men's basketball team. To really be carrying a community, because so many young black girls I know look up to Angel Reese. But that's who y'all labeled the villain. I done said it multiple times, bro. The media get to create these heroes and villains, and I don't like that so much of it's so much racism built into these narratives a lot of times by fans and whatnot, bro. I don't like it. I don't like it, bruh. Because nobody called Caitlin Clark a villain when she was walking around taunting. Mind you, I don't even really like calling it taunt, because when Steph Curry hit the night, do I call that a taunt? Maybe it is a taunt, but I don't look at it as disrespectful. When LeBron James hit the silencer, did I call it a disrespectful? Like when athletes taunt, when athletes hit their signature celebrations, we never get up in arms. But people got up in arms when two women competing against each other at the highest level let their emotions come out in a great way, in a good way. Like not in like some negative, out of control way, like people love to say women do. It just bothers me, bro. And that's who they choose. And this is who y'all choose to place your faith in a motherfucker like Acho. Oh my God, I can't stand this motherfucker. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You can be anything in the world. Choose to be kind to somebody today. Like, subscribe, share. We back, baby. Say now.
I think it should be forgotten, especially when the score is already 41-17. So I don't know how much worse it can get.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber. You out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.